author or their institution or funding body pays an article publication fee, and then the article is made freely available to everyone to read. Now, some journals publish exclusively open access, and those are called bulk open access journals, while other subscription journals have an open access option, and those are called hybrid journals. And Elsevier also has a number of open access agreements with various institutions, so that information is all online. I'm not going to go through the whole list. So there's special deals or discounts with various institutions and countries. We also have certain agreements with funding bodies, and all that information is online as well. So, if you want to publish, obviously you need to find the right journal, and there are various ways to do that. I mean, you can obviously speak to your supervisor or your colleagues and get their advice on where you should submit your paper. Elsevier also has a journal finder tool, which it uses like sort of fingerprint technology to match your, I think you paste in your abstract and your title, and it basically searches through all the published articles to try and find a journal that matches, what's in your paper. So it will give you a selection of journals that you could choose from. It is important to go and have a look at that list, and then have a look at the aims and scope of all those journals, just to see if your paper really does fit within that scope. You should also obviously look at the journal metrics, like the impact factor and the site score, but as an author, maybe speed is also important for you, so all those metrics are usually on the journal homepage as well, so you can have a look. If you're interested in publishing quickly, some journals are faster than others, so that might be important for you when you choose to publish. So of course you want to reach the right audience. You want the right people to read your paper, so that's why it's important to publish in the right journal. And when you're submitting your paper, of course you should only submit it to one journal at a time. You're not allowed to submit the same paper to different journals at the same time. Of course, if your paper's been rejected at one journal, then you're free to go and submit it to another journal. Something else that you may want to look at if you're looking for a journal is look at the different types of articles that the journal publishes. Excuse me. For example, some journals are review-only journals, which means they only publish review papers, so then of course they're not going to accept a research article. If you need to publish open access, like I said, there are dedicated open access journals or subscription journals that have an open access option. And you might also want to go and have a look at the hot topics, or the most downloaded or most cited papers in the journal, to have a look if your work would fit within the scope of that journal. And also articles in your reference list are usually a good indication of where you should be publishing. So, I'm sure you know this, but this is an example of a journal homepage. So here you can see the journal metrics. You can see where to submit your paper. There's a link to the guide for authors, which is really important to read before you prepare your paper. If you click there, you can expand the aims and scope. And then here you've got more information as well about the open access fee, and you've got the times that the journal usually takes, for example, to peer review or to publish. And then if you click on View All Insights, you will then see more historical data for the journal. So there's information about the impact, various impact metrics, there's information on speed and also reach. So for example, the downloads or the authors, where these people are coming from and where the countries that are downloading research in that journal the most. So for example, here you can see, for this journal, Desalination, you can see where most of the downloads are coming from. Most of the journal homepages also have special issues, so you can go and click and find out which special issues have been published, but also the current call for papers. So if you think that your article might fit within a special collection or a special issue, you could also consider submitting to that. Of course, special issue papers are dealt with in exactly the same way as regular articles. I mean, there's no preferential treatment or anything like that. So, but it is nice that your paper could be within a topical collection because they usually get quite a lot of attention. Now, if we move on to authorship and responsibilities, I mean, what does it mean to be an author? An author is generally considered to be someone who has made a substantial intellectual contribution to a published study. And it obviously comes with a lot of responsibility, especially as the corresponding author. And it's really important that when you submit your paper, you decide who will be an author, and you also need to decide on the order of the authors. Who's first author, who's corresponding author, who's last author. And this should all be done before you submit your paper, because the editors will tell you as well, we get a lot of complaints from authors about authorship issues, and it's very difficult for the editors to know who should be on the paper or the order of the authors. So this is really something that you need to sort out before you submit your paper. So there's some general principles about who is listed first, but again, these are general principles, and I realize that it differs per country, and so it might be slightly different where you're from, but in general, the first author is considered to be the person who conducts and or supervises the data analysis and the proper presentation and interpretation of the results, and usually the person who also puts the paper together and submits the paper to the journal. And then the other co-authors on the paper are all people who have made intellectual contributions to the data analysis and have contributed to the data interpretation. Each co-author needs to review each paper draft, and they must be able to actually present the results and defend the paper. Their names are on it, and of course they all need to agree that they are authors of the paper before you submit it. Things to be avoided are obviously ghost authorship, so excluding an author when they are supposed to be on the paper, but also gift authorship, so adding someone to a paper when they haven't made a substantial contribution. You need to think about, could they perhaps just be thanked in the acknowledgement section? And also including chatbots as authors. For example, ChatGPT. ChatGPT is not an author. They should not be, it, they, him, she, should not be included as an author in your paper. And talking about AI, so if authors use AI and AI-assisted technologies in the writing process, they should only be used to improve the readability and the language of the work, and they shouldn't replace any of the key authoring tasks that that an author should be doing, like producing scientific or medical insights, or drawing scientific conclusions, or providing recommendations. So you can use it to help improve the readability of your work, but you do need to have human oversight over the process. You should disclose in your manuscript if you have used AI, like ChatGPT, or AI-assisted technologies. And as we said, they should not be listed as a co-author. And you also shouldn't cite AI as an author. So there is a disclosure statement. There's information in the guide for authors as well, but generally authors need to disclose the use of AI in the writing process, and this is the statement that is suggested. So during the preparation of this work, the authors used, and then you name the tool, in order to, and then state the reason why the tool was used. After using this tool or service, the authors reviewed and edited the content as needed, and take full responsibility for the content of the publication. So, I mean, this obviously doesn't you know, count for like, you know, using a spell check or something like that, but, you know, really using AI technology. So key author responsibilities are obviously reporting real, unfabricated data. Your paper needs to be original. You need to declare any conflicts of interest. That's very important. Like we said, submit to only one journal at a time. Make sure that all your co-authors have read the manuscript and that they agree that their names should be on the paper in that correct order and that they agree to publish in that specific journal that you are submitting to. And also make sure that all the co-author information is correct, like their names, are they spelled correctly, are the affiliations correct, and also the correct email addresses. So this is an example of the editorial manager submission site. Just to show you, there is a section here it's the declaration of interest section. So you can basically click on the link and then it will take you through and it will tell you what you need to fill in and, you know, what type of things you need to disclose as an author. So I'll just show you there. So if you click further on, then you'll see, for example, it asks you, you know, what type of support did your research receive, financial support, or maybe non-financial support, maybe, you know, administrative support or something like that. So you just need to tick the relevant boxes. And who received the support, so you know, put in the name of the author. If there was no support here for this, then you obviously just click that button and it will take you to the next stage. Then there's another section, so relevant support outside of the reported work. So you can basically say what you know, you need to put in your organization and describe the relationship between the author and the organization. So, you know, maybe you're a board member of the journal or something like that, then you can, you know, tick that. There's also something about patents and intellectual property that you can put in there. And it also asks about other activities. So, for example, if you're an editor or a board member of a journal, you know, it says there, then you should mention that. So, for example, the editors will say, you know, Professor Hare is editor-in-chief of the journal Desalination, but he was not involved in the peer review of his own manuscript. So, something like that. In terms of authorship disputes, these are disputes that need to be resolved by the authors because, like I said before, it's very difficult for the editors to know who is supposed to be on the paper, you know, who was involved in the research, what their contributions were, and this can really delay the publication process. So it really is important that you as authors sort that out before you submit your paper. If there are any author corrections that need to be made after the paper has been published, this can only be done as a correction to the record, so as a corrigendum, and only if all authors agree to it. So we need to have written confirmation from all authors that there needs to be a change to the authorship, and the editors need to agree to that as well. So it can be quite messy. And we also need to know why the change is necessary. So some of the most serious issues to avoid, so ethical issues, are fabrication of data, you know, making up data that's false, falsification, so manipulating existing data to, you know, make it more interesting or make it suit your research question, plagiarism, we'll discuss that soon. And unethical reviewers, so, you know, reviewers asking authors to cite their own papers to boost their H-index, you know, that is unethical. So that was my section that I'll present. Are there any questions on what I've just spoken about or any comments?
Well, I just noticed there is automatic declaration of interest on the submission system. I never use it. If I click everything, does it happen to automatically give us a statement in a separate
No,
page?
I don't think so. I think you have to click on that. I think you have to click on that. So there's that bit, but also in the guide for authors, it does tell you that you need to include a declaration of competing interest in your paper. So you can either do it that way, or you can do it manually yourself in your paper, as far as I'm aware. Yeah.
So do we need to do both, or just? I mean, the paper alone is enough, or do we need to do the portal plus?
I think the paper alone is enough.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
So my question was about, for example, the use of ChatGPT when someone is involved with coding. Where do you draw the line?
Sorry, if someone is involved with
Coding. With coding, like where do you draw the line? Because what you have commented is about writing. So, for example, for coding, where
Software coding.
That's a good question.
It's difficult, yeah.
Yeah. Tom, do you have any insight on that?
No, because I didn't involve in coding. For our technical issues, I think we create something. For the coding, there are some standard system you can ask the computer. I don't know if you can include it as your own invention or your own idea. I'm not sure. For language, I think you can use it, but if you declare that this has been checked by ChatGPT.
I think in any case, just either mention it in your cover letter, or put it in the acknowledgements or the declaration or something. Just be transparent about what was done. Then at least you've mentioned it, and the editors can see that. So it doesn't really answer your question, but I think rather just be transparent and just say we've used this and this to do that, and then at least it's out in the open and everyone can see.
Okay, thank you.
Right now, Professor Sean's going to talk about plagiarism. He's got a very interesting topic to talk about.
Thank you, Wei. So my name is Hong Young Sean. I'm the co-editor-in-chief of this analysis together with Tauha. It's a very great topic for the plagiarism. So I'm sure that you have a difficult time to write English was producing a lot of data and figures, so many things that you have to throw in your papers. So how we can avoid this plagiarism? So we can mention about briefly what's our policy. So plagiarism is the appropriation of another person, ideas, processes, or region, word without giving appropriate credit, was including those obtained through the confidential reading of others, research, proposal, and manuscript. So simply already you know that how you can copy from the other's idea and then evil writing. So we have to avoid this kind of plagiarism. So this is the main word and ideas, findings, writings, graphic representation, the computer programs, also coding, some of the specific you design for some of the analysis program for the software. So we have to utilize in the appendix. Also, you have to show some of your coding using some software. Also, diagram, graphics, and illustration information, lectures, printed material, electrical material, any other original work. So we have to make sure to cite if you want to use, so that you can avoid your plagiarisms. So citation is the key. Crediting the work of others, including your the writers or your own previous work by citation is important for at least 3 reasons. To place your own work in context and to acknowledge the findings of others on which you have built your research, and to maintain the credibility and accuracy of the scientific literature, so that you can avoid your plagiarism. So just a simple question. A lot of authors they are doing a lot of mistake for this issue. So a researcher noticed a paragraph in a previously published article that would be suitable as the materials and method in his article. So the researcher decided to copy that paragraph into his paper without quotes or attribution. So has the researcher violated any ethical boundaries? So do you think that yes? Can you raise your hands? So everybody, yes, you're right. So even though it is your paper, material method is very much same as before, because I'm sure that the material method is a lot of overlapping, but you cannot copy exactly the same. You just decide, okay, this material method followed from these papers, so that you can avoid your plagiarism, because a lot of the plagiarism software detecting even material method. So if you have a whole paragraph the same as in your previous paper, it considered as a very serious your plagiarism. So that you have to make sure, even though it's your papers, your article, so you have to avoid exactly same paragraphs. So how big is the problem of plagiarism? So huge data of 30 million articles. They are against all these kind of issues, and then 50,000 journals from 400 publishers. The software are edited to any similarity between the article and the huge database of the published articles. So when we receive your submitted manuscript, so editor can see how many percentage of the similarity you have. So if you have more than 20%, so every editor look at carefully your similarity and then try to reject. If it is reasonable, like 30%, 25%, and then okay, reject and resubmission. Otherwise, we just reject without any resubmission, because if it's too high similarity, more than 40%, 50%. So you have to be careful before you submit. So I'm sure that your university, your supervisor support your similarity software. So before you submit, and then you can check. So we utilize Authenticate from the SBM, editorial manager. So cross check, so you can double check from your software. And this is the example, similarity index. All the editors can see this kind of the number. So if it is more than 20%, so we look at carefully, okay, this is from 4%, which article? Also, this is 1%. So we look at carefully how many same color you have from the same. So this is one of the example, number one. So you have a 4% overlap, almost the same as previous article. So it's almost same paragraph. So we don't want to see this kind of similarity, even though you have less than 20%. So if you have too many specific paragraph has all the same article from the previous published paper, so we just reject, even though it's 20%. So you have to make sure you don't copy whole paragraph for your paper, so making sure rephrasing or rewrite, so that you can avoid your similarity index. So that's how we decide for the similarity. Also, plagiarism is serious, but easily avoidable. So you can just cite. So you can use your ideas, phrase, and argument from sources already published, and acknowledging the source, the original author. Also request permission to reuse the figures, tables, data of the previous study by clicking Get Right and Content. Also filling in the right link form. So if you go to the Elsevier journal, so if you see here, so you can see the Get the Permission. So some of the review paper, so editor or author or reviewer, they request permission from the published paper. So you need to get this kind of permission and then submit in your appendix. Also, this is important when you publish the book or book chapter. So most of book and book chapter, they request this kind of permission, right? So that some of them are free, some of them you have to pay, depending on which article. So most of the SBA journal, based on my experience, if you just copy from one figures or one graph, it's free. But if you need more than 2 or 3 or 4 graphs from the one paper, then you need to pay a little bit out of your money. But depending on your the permission for this article, so you can decide how you can avoid your plagiarism. And this is the also example how you can get your permission from other papers. Also, paraphrasing is restating someone else's ideas while not copying their actual words verbatim. So it's not unacceptable as well. So you have to also make sure that you have to use some of your own way of the writing. Also, you have to make a good paraphrase. So using exact phrase from the original source without including that in quotation marks. So you can utilize the quotation mark if you use the exactly same sentence or phrase. Also, emulating the sentence structure even when using different words. Also, emulating the paragraph organization even when using different wording and or sentence structure, so that you can utilize your paraphrasing system. And can you also, this is the similar way that can you plagiarize your own work? So previously we mentioned about the material method, but now you can think about text recycling, self-plagiarism, also gray area. You can see that you publish a paper, in a later paper, copy your introduction word for word, and perhaps a figure or two without citing the first paper. Also, this is the self-plagiarism. So once you publish, your copyright goes to the SBA or publisher. So it's no longer your property, it's a property of the publisher. So that if you utilize same text or figures, so you have to also make sure that you have to avoid your plagiarism. So even though it's in your paper, previous published paper, so once you publish, your copyright is from publishers. So you have to make sure it's no longer your property and copyright. So you have to cite even though it's your previous papers. The consequences of the question, a researcher has plagiarized another author's article. What are the potential consequences and what actions can be publishers or researchers, institution, funding body take? So do you have any experience for this kind of consequences? So potential consequences can vary according to the severity of the misconduct and standards set by the journal editors, institution, and funding body. The possible action from the publishers or the editors, the written letters of concern and reprimand, an article retractions. So sometimes if you search for some article, so there is the red color, retracted article, so retraction, because some people maybe copy from the previous paper or just manipulate the data, so that SBA, they just put your retraction and the red color and then keep as it is, so they don't really remove the paper. So if you are in the author, so your name will be forever as a red color of the retraction. So you have to be careful to avoid this kind of misconduct. Also, some form of disciplinary action on the part of the research institute of the funding body, so they can ask the university to to have this kind of problem with the authors. So that's all I prepared together with Nguyen. Thank you for the slide. Do you have any question for plagiarisms? Yes. Can you use your microphone, please?
For the self plagiarism, if I'm using a document I submitted to the university, it's not has been published before, like a PhD thesis or like a part of it. Can I use it similar as it, or it will be similar to self plagiarism?
Okay, that's a very good question because some of them they publish first the thesis, and the thesis is coming to the electronic version at the university, and then when you submit the article and then it's showing the similarity. So we have experience. So in this case, when you publish the thesis, so that we believe, in fact, your thesis is published in front of your university website officially. So in fact, this is published there. So that when you say officially, this is exactly kind of this plagiarism issues. So most of the students, they publish the journal and then publish the thesis so that you can avoid the plagiarism issue. But at this moment, Tom and myself, so we consider that kind of the situation. Some of the students, they graduate faster and then publish later on. So based on your thesis, we just ask some question. Okay, can you prove this has not been published anywhere? Because we are detecting your similarity. So we want to confirm. So this one has not been published anywhere. So we want to get a double check and then cross check. And then we make sure you never publish any journal. This is thesis, and then we try to process the review. So that's the possible. We make a little bit of flexibility, but you need to go through another process to confirm. This is never been published before. So that's you have to. You can make it in your cover letter. So that's the possible. You can publish it in our journal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question of the copyright, and the author was there or can respond about my request. Then how was the copyright of the situation?
Can you say again? Yeah.
Copyright of
Yeah.
the article,
Yeah.
and the author was there or can respond my request of the copyright. Then how I did how I request the copyright, then also can respond my request.
Okay, Roy, yes.
So usually you saw on the article that Sean showed, there's a button that you can push get rights and content. So if you want to use something from that article, you would click on there, and then it basically asks you. So it says here, I would like to. So you can, for example, say reuse in a journal or magazine. I am also an author. It basically asks you what you'd like to reuse, one figure, two figures, the whole, one section or something like that. So it asks you for all those things, and then usually this is maintained by the publisher. So they've got the database of this, and they would be able to go to the copyright center and fill that in for you, and then grant you your permission. So most papers will have that.
I was thinking about the conference. What did you say? Okay, I think it was thinking about the conference.
Oh, a conference
At
paper.
the conference.
Oh, I see.
Then how do you manage the fact that you have presented at the conference? I thought we were asking.
So you've presented at a conference, and you've got a conference paper or something like that. Is that what you're talking about?
And the journal has the copyright of the all articles in journal.
Yeah, generally, yeah. It depends on the journal and who has the copyright, if it's open access or not. If it's open access, then generally it's the author. But I think you have to go through the same process. You still have to click on that get rights and content to go and request permission, because generally those types of things are included in in the agreements when that authors sign. So if you just go and do that on the paper, most publishers have that, and you can request permission that way. Then at least you've got it in writing instead of sending an email to an author. It's better to do it like this, because it's the official rights link page, from the Copyright Centre.
Maybe something related to the same question, but if a copyright, like for example, I request an image or like a figure, do I need to reproduce it again or change it, modify it, or it need to be like it is it?
So, if you want to use an image exactly as it is in your discussion, or you want to include that in your article, you can do that, but you have to cite it appropriately. It's not your figure. You have to cite it, and obviously request permission. But if you want to use that figure and adapt it for something else, you can do that. But then again, you need to cite it and say, adapted from so and so. In your paper, or in the caption of the article as well. So cite and then say that it was adapted from, figure whatever 4 of this article or something like that.
And if the author forgot to cite this paper, but they use some of the pictures, some of the drawings from one of the published figures, and this also can be looked at as a plagiarism, or we can think it's okay because it's not really completely 100% as we have published it before, because it's been formatted, reformatted.
I think that's probably something for the editor to judge. So you, as an expert, would know: is the image different enough? Or is there just a slight modification? So
It's tricky like that.
it is tricky, and that's why that's your job.
한국말을 질문해도 될까요? 제가 지금 모델링 분야에 대해서 연구를 하고 있는데요. 그 모델링을 할 때 필요한 식들이 정해져 있는데요. 그게 이제 근데 그 비슷한 분야를 계속해서 연구를 하다 보니까 여러 논문을 낼 때 각 논문에 해당하는 그 식들이 대부분 비슷비슷해요. 그래서 이제 그 전 논문에서 그 식에 대한 설명을 그 식들을 쭉 나열을 하고 그 텍스트로 그 식의 원리들에 대한 설명, 그리고 왜 이 식이 이렇게 구성되었는지에 대한 설명을 쭉 썼어요. 그래서 근데 이제 그 다음 논문을 낼 때 그 식들을 또 동일하게 써야 되는 상황이 있거든요. 그럼 이때 그 전 논문에서 그 썼던 그런 텍스트들을, 근데 이 텍스트들이 그 원리에 대한 텍스트들이어서 대부분 내용이 일치할 수밖에 없는데 이 부분에 대해서도 좀 가져와도 그 좀 표절이라고 할 수 있는 건가요?
Okay, so let me first talk English and then I will talk to you Korean later. His question is about, he want to use the equation formula. So there are a lot of equations, same modeling, so you follow this modeling, and then, so this formula is the same. So the theory is the same, how they want to read this kind of utilizing this formula, and then whether this is the plagiarism or not. So if you use the similar paragraph and then explain the equation and formula, so whether this is a plagiarism or not. So when you have a formula, so the similarity in that they don't detect your equation. So they only detect your text. So similarity is about when you explain, okay, this equation is what is the value of this one, this one, this one. So you can make same. You can utilize A is the function of x, and then B is the factor of the x. It's the same meaning of your formula, right? So you can utilize the same thing, but you can make the citation also a little bit rephrase, not exactly same of the previous paper. You can have a rephrase explain a little bit different way, or minimize your text. Just say, okay, this is from this paper, and then show your equation, formula. And then because formula doesn't really detect in your similarity, so you can make a smaller sentence, and then citation from which paper, and then you can avoid the plagiarism issue. So which means, if you use the same thing from the previous equation and then explanation, so you will be detected by the similarity. So it's all red color. We will see it, then maybe editor will say, okay, this is too much same, and then please resubmit or rephrase again. So it's better to have a short sentence and then avoid your full paragraph. Just to make your own way of the explanation, and then utilize citation and equation, and then you can avoid the plagiarism issue. So can you understand? Okay, that's good. Your English is all right. Try in English, right?
If not,
Okay. Thank you.
thank you.
I will continue in the last section of this talk, how the paper is being reviewed. This graph is very interesting to me too. So it's my first time to see how we are working every day with papers. It's very logical. You see different interface. So when you have a paper, you submit a paper. Basically, the first decision comes by the pre-screen. Sean and I, we can reject instantaneously and write it from the desk because of a lot of problems I will talk about later. If not, if we see the paper has been scientifically organized, supported with some very good experimental data and quite scientific analysis, so we are going to send the paper to review. This will go to reviewer, and some of you are reviewers, probably all will become reviewers in the future. So this will take some time, and when we have feedbacks, we will evaluate the comments. So they will provide with us rejection, major revision, moderate, minor, or some people even just accept without any comments, which we normally don't take this acceptance. So after we collect enough comments, we will make a decision. This is either rejection or acceptance. This is how it works. If there are revisions, they will go back to author and come back with new submission and go around. Probably there is also possibility that when the revision come back, we can accept it without sending out. So this is how it works. For peer-reviewed models, there are basically three different kinds of peer-review processes. One is open, so the author reviews the known to each other. This has a good part, but also bad part. So the text states very clear what is good part, but there's also bad part. I'm talking about the negative part. For example, there is people who I know who are senior to me. I may have problem to give critical comments. So this is the bad part. Or I say I don't have time. So this is one of the problems. For the single blind review, it's also interesting. So that's how we are normally doing by dissemination. The reviewer knows whose papers are, but the authors don't know. It's very good. So the reviewer can give a very critical comment, but sometimes it's too critical. They can say whatever they want, very harsh. This is also bad. We really need a very scientific, objective comment to improve the quality of the work of the paper or research. Sometimes we receive a personal attack, but this is something also, I think is a problem of the system. Last one is double-blinded review. I recently actually received a paper which is double-blinded. There is no authors. I don't know who the paper is. And I'm thinking how this can work for improving the quality of this paper. I think it's good because I don't know the author. I can give the author very critical, objective comment. The author don't know me, so it's good. As we see here, the reviewer can identify whose paper is coming from by references, by the style they are writing. When you read many papers from one of the authors, you know immediately the style of their writing. So. But anyway, it's new for me, and because we dissemination as a dissemination journal, we always work with single blind review. Yeah. So it's good. So when you are submitting a paper, you will suggest potential reviewers. The system asks you to give some potential names. You can read, but I don't want to read the text. I just want to tell you my experience, also my experience with the submissions. From time to time, I see most of the time, when they have something wrong, take me a lot of time because the authors, they only suggest reviewers I can identify from the names, from their own country, from their friends, only their friends, which is difficult for me because I have to spend time. I won't take that. I won't take that. And if there's some name who I don't know, I probably will go to check Google Scholar. So are these reviewers, proposed reviewers, really expert of this subject? Sometimes it happens that apparently it's their friend because they never did the single work. This is not good. And from my own experience, because I'm an author too, so what I do ask my students to do is to make a list of 6, sometimes 8 reviewers who are really expert in this subject. Yeah. Of course, there are some author reviewers are my friends because they are expert, so I cannot award their names. This way, you can give the editor a lot of good life because they won't spend much time to check all the names, to go through the system in details about the reviewer's background. It took a lot of time. Right? So the editors will appreciate your work. So this is how you suggest reviewers. There's a long list of tips before you prepare your submission of your paper to dissemination. I make it I like this list. So first, don't submit papers out of scope. It's very easy to understand. Second, this is quite difficult. Avoid submit incremental research papers. But sometimes it's very difficult to identify either incremental, even only for your own research subject you can identify. For my subject I can identify, but there are a lot of other subjects which we are not familiar. It's difficult. But for the authors, I suggest you to do this. Don't do too much research by checking one research. Then you get some results, you publish. We look at this as less novelties. The third, make it very clear to the editor that the work is very important to the wide audience of dissemination in your collaborator. So when you want to submit a rejected paper, don't just make revision then submit. Result and the response to the rejection comment. this is very much often for many authors. They just forgot to attach response to the comments. Figures, graphic, abstract, make it clear and very easy to see and make it very colorful, like you wear colorful clothes. So for writing a cover letter, I advise to make it short, concise, in one page. We don't have time to read full page A4 page cover letters. So about reviewers, I just mentioned. I won't comment on this anymore. So if you feel that the reviewing process takes too long, please ask, send an email to the editor. Please send an email. Some of my colleagues in China, even Chinese are too much. I feel that the difference. They dare not to ask editors. They dare not to send emails to the editors. So there was one paper has been submitted for 3 months without any response. There's no first round review comment, and they didn't ask. They sent me a message, ask me what happened. Okay, so the next point is that there's a lot of hot topics in the dissemination area, like nanoparticles, graphic oxide, and what else? AI stuff. It's very trendy, really trendy. It's highly cited, so we like it as a journal manager and as a journal editor. We like it. But my advice is that fundamental and deep understanding of the topic is also very important, very important. And this also can be looked at as novel research. I really respect this kind of research. Novel research, trendy research is also good, but a lot of trendy papers they fall into as cooking papers, so something which I don't like. Pay serious attention to the comments, yes. Also in your text, avoid over-glossing, exaggeration and text too much. Extremely good, highly, very good results, this kind of wording. Last one is about cooking work, I just mentioned. Tips for preparing the figures. Look at this one, there are only 3 data, and for one graph, I think this is you need more data to convince you have a right conclusion. And also color, like this figure, it's nice and beautiful color. This also color-wise, it's good. And the text is too small here. I can hardly read because my eyes is degrading now. I can hardly read. And make the text a little bit larger, so it will help the reviewer and the editor to give a positive feedback. How to judge? We need 2 or 3 review comments to make a decision. Because the workload right now for the reviewers, for the editors are quite increasing. So as you see from the figure, reviewer speed is actually declining. Yeah, the days are increasing. So there are also problems with lack of review skills from some of the people. Sometimes you are wondering why this review takes so long. Here, I could give you some idea of why my paper taking 2 months. Here is the standard for Journal X. The submission to first decision is 42 days. For Y, it's 34 days. Because, as I say, it shows in the first slide, the whole process involves different people. Some people are very busy. Some people, they are go on holiday, so I cannot respond. All these add up to problem of your reviewing processes. So you have to understand, as a reviewer, as an editor, they have their full-time job. So this might take some time. If your paper is very interesting to the reviewer, I'm sure they will give you a very quick response. If your paper is, I cannot say rubbish, because there are some papers that are really rubbish. If your paper, the topic is not interesting, the figures, the writing style is very difficult to read, this will not take more time. So be careful when you prepare your papers. Take this into account. Rejection, out of scope is one, language issue, plagiarism issue is one. I have received a paper about 60% are copied from other references. So I went to check. The guy just copied from the Google. It's one of the very long or very general information from the Google. This is easy for me because I can just reject it from my desk. Don't do that. Don't copy too much from other people. So the decision is also very much like art. So here's the example. So if you have 3 minor revision comment and 1 rejection. So how we do this? How we make a decision? We will look at the detailed comments, the text. We will look at how the reviewer evaluate the research work. If one of the rejection states very clearly the scientific quality, the logic, the longitude are not really good, even there are 3 minor revisions. Remember, it could be friends in minor revision. We could reject it. Right now, our editors are very friendly. We normally will give you, if like that, if this is like that, we will give you some resubmission advice. So you can rewrite your manuscript, resubmit. But they will go to this will be a new review, new paper. So there is a good chance you can be accepted, but it can be also rejected and coming back after 1 or 2 months. So major revision, minor revision, most of the time, minor revision is a good sign. So you are happy when you are getting minor revision coming back. But when you have major revision, just be careful. Sometimes we are seeing 2 major revision processes, but the second major revision was rejection because the reviewer said that the author didn't take very seriously their comments, so we could reject it. This is how we are making decision for the authors. Just take all the advice into account. So when you are doing the revision part, during the revision, you need a revision response letter to the comments. I sometimes, right now, not so many, but there's sometimes the author just say, yes, I have advised, I accepted, comment accepted, discussion changed, or copied it. This is not good enough. Most of the time, if I see this kind of response letter, I will send it back. I ask them to put details. What you have changed? The best way is you say that you copy the text from the original manuscript. You copy the text from your revision using different color. I like dark blue. Some people like red. So this will highlight what you have done. The more detailed information you give to the reviewer, give to the editor, the better you get a chance to be accepted. Also be polite. Even the reviewer, you think is stupid, but I don't think reviewers are stupid, but if the reviewer gives you a harsh comment, be polite, be polite. Because the work is your own research, it takes a lot of time, a lot of tears in your lab, and you want it to be published. So this is I hope you can read the text. If not, I can just read it for you. There was one author get rejection letter because there was nobody want to review after a few months. So then he sent back a email saying that it is a joke? Question mark. Is it a joke? No, it's not a joke. it's rejection because I cannot find a suitable reviewer. No reviewer want to review. So avoid such kind of text when you are writing letter to editors because this is a very bad impression. We spend a lot of time on your work because your work is not interesting to the reviewer. It's not a joke. It's because your paper is not interesting enough. Yeah? So take back the comments. Maybe you have to think about why it's being rejected. So to understand why your paper is being rejected, novelty, out of scope, cooking paper. If it's cooking paper, I suggest you send it to other journal. If there is a comments back, rejection. You have to take the comments, reviewers' comments seriously. Make or just manuscript text revision or extra experiment. There is a chance that when you revise your paper, you think it's better, I send it to other journal because dissemination is not good enough anymore for me. So you can do that. You will publish in highly cited journal like CJ or Water Research, whatever. So actually, as editor, as reviewer, we are helping authors to publish a paper in dissemination, of course, we hope. But if you think you can publish in other journals, you are welcome. So you can also use article transfer. We normally do article transfer. So if you think the paper can be accepted in another journal, we will transfer. But that's your own decision. That's your own decision. When you publish your papers, please put your papers in the social media. This will expose your research. This getting paper recited, loaned by other people. There is LinkedIn, there is Twitter managed by Sean. There is also by, I don't think you use WeChat. If you in China, you can use WeChat. We also promote this by WeChat, and you can get more people to know your papers. There's some further reading information. You can go back and take some time. I think that's one of the last slides, right? Thank you. Any questions?
I have a question about the criteria. Are there any criteria of selecting reviewers about their expertise? For example, for authors, paper metrics or impact factor or other things?
That's a very good question. I share my own experience. Sean, if you have more to add, please. So first, we have in the medical system. So when we have the paper, we can actually I think it's AI assisted. Yeah? So there is a system that help us to identify suitable reviewers by relevance. But of course, there's sometimes they give us some names, but the name of the author has extremely high H index, like 100. This kind of reviewers are normally very, very busy. So I will avoid using his names. So my preference for selecting suitable reviewers are young people who have an H index of about 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, this kind of reviewers. So they have time to give you good comments. Thank you. Shall we have more to add?
So it depends on your luck because us reviewers always we don't know even they have a lot of expertise for your paper. Also, they don't have really expert. Even though we select one of them from the your suggest review, also we select one. Also we select, you mentioned also Finder, it's AI related keywords, and then we have a list of the reviewers. So we can select one of them. Also, we have an editorial board member, so you have around 50 or 60. So we have a similar expert, and then we send it to them. So initially, we select around 5 or 6, and around 50% they accept to review. So that's our experience that we select, because we need a 3 reviewer comment, and then 6, and then we will get luckily around 3 reviewer comments. So it depending on your luck. So we cannot say it's like exactly who will review, because even though they are very suitable to your friend, but they are busy, and even though you suggest, we select them, they may not review. So it's a lot of complicated review comment you will see. So better to focus on your quality rather than thinking about who are the reviewers. Yeah, to think about your quality of papers.
Thank you, Sean.
Maybe I can ask me, do you know your friends? Because I have seen examples. People request a name, as an editor I select that name for a paper, and that person demolishes the paper. So do know your friends really well.
Just have a question. How does the editor do the first screening for the first time when they get the paper?
That's also interesting. So I always saying to Luan and Sean, it's an art. So doesn't mean rejected paper is bad paper. That's the first point. Doesn't mean accepted paper is very good papers. But for us, we try to be objective in evaluate the submission by some quantitative data. First, for example, there is the first data is a plagiarism. It's called similarity index. If the similarity index is too high, we go to check. Right? Sometimes we find mistakes. Sometimes mistake like what you asked. Yeah? There's sometimes that the authors they publish the thesis. Then this will be counted automatically. Normally, when you have very high similarity index, by great chance, I say great chance, about 60%, 60%, there are some problems. So we are going to check this. Then we are going to open the PDF file, look through the text, abstract figures. Sometimes you're going to see the figures are really bad prepared. Two data, one graph. Normally, I think the quality is not good enough, from my impression. And there is also one example that there are some technical papers, they have more than 50 equations. Nobody will read it, I'm sure, so why do we publish it in dissemination? And another example is that there are about 30 figures. I won't think that the present authors are experienced in writing scientific paper. It's kind of like a technical report. So this is like this. I will send it back. Rejection or normally rejection. There are also rejection by transfer. Article transfer to other journals. I will look at the content. If it is a subject I'm very much familiar, I'm going to check if it is incremental research by cooking and add something. I will transfer to another journal. But it's a rejection decision. So you have something to add?
I think basically Tao mentioned about very good point. So similarity is first, and then we look at the technical, your novelty, and then we also look at very quickly go through your writing. Like we also carefully read your cover letter because you mentioned about previously submitted or not, and then you respond to resubmit the paper. So we look at the cover letter, highlight, also very quickly go through all the manuscript. And then if it's not out of scope, similarity is okay, with writing is alright, with novelty is good enough. Then we send it to our editors. We have six more editors. They have different expertise like membrane, fouling, and distillation, or different expertise. They also send it to the manuscript, and they look at the more novelty. And then if its novelty is good enough for your manuscript, then you will go through the review process. Otherwise, first we have two screens from the editor. So you have a 50% of your chance to go to your manuscript to Tao and myself, so that different style. So if you are lucky enough, your manuscript come to me, and then I'm a little bit generous than the Tao, and then we give to the next editor, and the next editor look at more carefully because they are more specified editor expertise. So you will have two screen and then go through your review process.
Also, one comment I'd like to share with everybody. So don't make a mistake in your cover letter and abstract, because this is something we will check it. I will check it. Sometimes there are authors, they make typos in their cover letter. Then if you go to the text, you will find more typos. So this is not good. If you are not serious about your work, I don't think you are serious about science. That's my point.
Or we kept the name of the journal but just rejected them in the cover letter. Forgot to change the name of the journal for it.
So this is the tips. Great.
So we didn't introduce Ludovic Dummy. He was the editor-in-chief, the Journal of Water Process Engineering. So he's also very much relevant to our role. So he has also very high expertise on the journal editing. Any other questions?
No, I think we're done then. If there are no other questions or comments, maybe you want to share an experience? No? Then I think you've got some time before the opening ceremony, right?
Right.
Maybe go and enjoy the weather a bit?
Yeah, we have 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
3 hours.
I think it's at 5:30, right?
Yes.
Here in this room.
No, 6:30.
6:30?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now 3 hours.
Oh, 3 hours, even better.
Or you can join the workshops if you want.
Oh yes, or you can join the other workshop,
Yes,
sorry.
We have another 2 workshops over there. Yeah.
Okay, but thank you very much for coming and thank you to our speakers, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.